Hey guys, Dan Carr here from shuttermuse.com. Today we're taking a look at a new pack from Gura Gear, and this is the Uinta 30 litre. So I'm going to break this video into a few different parts. We're going to start with a basic feature tour around the bag, discuss some of these features and why they might be helpful to the type of photography that this is designed for. And as you might expect from Gura Gear, this is really designed with outdoor photography in mind. So we're looking at landscape, we're looking at adventure sports, that kind of thing, and maybe some wildlife photography as well, depending on the kind of equipment that you're wanting to carry for that. So you might be familiar with the Koboko or the Butterfly bags, which are the backpacks that Gura Gear have been selling for a few years now. They've been very popular with wildlife photographers. In fact, later on in the video I will compare side by side with the Butterfly bag. But one of the things that I found, and I think a lot of other people found with the Butterfly, was it wasn't that comfortable to walk with it for longer periods of time. So with the Uinta, they've tried to make something that is more comfortable for longer landscape photography missions. So if you're hiking around for longer periods, then this is going to be a better option. So let's take a look at some of the features here. I'm just going to work my way around. I'll start at the front, I guess. One thing that I will say right away is the hardware that they've chosen for this bag. All the little decisions on zippers and buckles and things like that are excellent. I really like the way that they've gone with this. We've got nice seam-sealed YKK zippers here. And on the front, let's just unzip this. The front has a fairly spacious pocket. Again, we're going to have a lot of photos of this in the review, so if you're watching directly on YouTube, please click the link in the description below. There is a ton, over 50 photos I think, of this bag and the features, so if you can't quite see everything in the video, check out the review as well. Now in this front pocket, you've got all your organizational things, places you can put an iPhone. There's a pocket down here that fits an iPad very nicely, pens, business cards, stuff like that. There's also a couple of zippered pockets, which you can see just down here. Now, it's a good place to store the included rain cover. I always like it when a bag comes with a rain cover, so that's nice. So yeah, you've got a couple of zippered pockets in here, which is a great place to store some filters, memory cards, batteries, that kind of stuff. All your little items can go in the front. And it's actually a very well thought out organizational folder. It's got just what you need and not too much of what you don't. So I like this. And there's a little clip here as well, which is good for, some people clip keys on them. I like to put my memory card holder on there so that I know that I'm not going to lose my images. Okay, I guess we'll start with the main feature of this bag is the fact that you can get to your camera gear from the front or from the back, and this is quite unique. I don't know of any other bag that can do this. So let's open up the main pocket here. I'm going to lay this down. Inside you'll find that there are these camera modules. Now you can get two different sizes at the moment. There's a small Pro and a medium Pro, and both of them fit simultaneously inside the bag. So you can open up this main zippered pocket here. Again, nice seam-sealed YKK zippers on this as well. Inside you're going to find a padded laptop pocket and access to your gear by opening up these modules. So you can get to your gear from the front, but what you'll notice is that you can only get to a certain amount of your gear. If you've got the medium in the top here, you can get to all the gear in the medium. But you can also get to your gear from the back of the bag. So if I pull these harness straps out of the way, you can see this. The back panel opens as well. We've got a zippered pocket here and access, again, these modules have zippers on both sides, so I can unzip this and get to my equipment there. Now, even on this back panel, this is split into two parts. So this is how you get access to the other module, which is down the bottom here. So you can unzip this and get to any camera gear that you've stored in the bottom. Now, this is really nice to be able to separate two different things, because you actually, of course, don't have to put camera equipment in both of these. You can put other things in there. And this modular system works really well for outdoor photography, because we're always trying to carry some other things, be it food, water, maybe first aid kit, some kind of safety equipment, depending on what kind of sport you're doing, if you're doing adventure photography of some kind. So it's nice to be able to separate things. And you can also use just one or the other of these modules as well. There's internal kind of suspension straps in there that allow you to fit them in. So if you wanted to just use the top half, you could leave this bottom half completely empty, take the small one out, don't need that. Then you've got a really quick place to stash extra clothing or extra food and water in the bottom of the bag here. Again, we've got another zippered pocket in here, so there's lots of little stowage options on this bag. Now, personally, I really like back panel opening packs, and the reason for this is that when you're outdoors and you have to get your photography gear out, it means that you can lay the camera bag down on its front if it's going to be in the dust, the dirt, and the sand. Then when you pick it up to put it back on your back, you aren't bringing that dust and dirt and smearing it all over your back. So you can put this face down in the dirt and you're not going to get dust and dirt all over this. So for me, I really like bags that open with a back panel system. Having said that, why not have a choice? So it's pretty cool that you can get to this from both sides. And then in some situations, this could also be handy because it's nice to have a bag that you can use for a lot of different types of photography. And of course that also gives you access to this laptop pocket. I'm not sure what they say about the sizing. I'll confirm this in the review. Certainly a 15-inch laptop is going to fit in here, and potentially a 17-inch one as well. So that's kind of the main feature, is the front and back panel and the modular system. Later on in the video, we'll actually take a closer look at the modules individually, but let me just continue along with the features of this bag for the moment. The harness system is very important on a bag that's designed to be carried on your back for long periods of time. Now what they've done here is chosen some materials that are extremely breathable. This is probably the most breathable set of harnesses and back panel that I've seen on a camera bag. So even the what I guess is rubber inside these shoulder straps here is perforated. You can see kind of right through it in a lot of areas, and it's really going to help the flow of air around you. We've got these ridges behind the mesh on the back panel as well, and all of this just looks really well made, and like I said, great choices with the hardware that they've chosen. I really like all the buckles that they've put on things, and it's super comfortable to wear when you're hiking around for long periods of time. You know, as I said, I had the Batterfly before and I didn't find that comfortable. It really is night and day between the two. They're very different designs, and this is a super comfortable pack to be hiking with. Now, on the side, we have elasticated pockets. You can put a water bottle in there, or you can stick the tripod feet in there. We're going to talk separately about tripods in a second, so we'll get to that later on in the video. We've got a carry handle on the top. We have a Cordura base, so it's a little bit more durable on the bottom of the bag. So when you're putting it down in the dust and the rocks, then this is going to wear a lot better. And then they've put these loops all over the bottom, so you can figure out all kinds of things that you want to tie on there. Straps on both sides, 2 straps on either side, so you can roll things up and slip them on there. And you know, that's really about it for this bag. It doesn't have a ridiculous number of features because they've tried to keep it super lightweight. It weighs, I think, 1.2 kilos without the modules. So it's a very lightweight pack. What I like about it is that it's quite thin. You know, it's funny because when I first saw the photos of this bag, I actually thought that it appeared in the photos to be a lot thicker than it actually is. When I got my hands on it, I was able to see there's actually quite a slim pack, and that's nice because it keeps the weight close to your spine, which is where you want it. And yeah, it's a very lightweight pack as well, even with the modules in there. So they always use some great materials, some really great lightweight materials for all of Gura Gear's bags. And yeah, this one doesn't disappoint in that area at all. So I love the fact that you can get to things on both sides, and I love the separate openings that you've got here. It's really nice to separate your gear out like that. And yeah, let's move along and we'll take a look at some of the other features of this bag, specifically next how to carry tripods and hydration. Now, Gura Gear will sell you an accessory. It's called the THS. It's $39.99, and THS stands for Tripod and Hydration System. Now, first up, I would say that for an outdoor photography pack that's designed comfortably for hiking around for a long period of time, hydration solution should be built into the pack. It should not be an accessory, especially a $40 accessory. And equally, it's also supposed to be one of the main tripod carrying solutions. Again, the target market for this pack is going to have a tripod for the most part. So I believe, again, that this should be built into the pack in some way. I appreciate they tried to hit a price point. $200 for the pack is a good price. But I think that I personally would have preferred to have seen a slightly higher price, but have some of this functionality built into it. So that's the first little issue I have with it. There's a couple of other problems though. You know, you guys know that I'm honest in my reviews. Not everything is all roses with all products. And I've been really complimentary about the features on the pack in the first part of the video, but the THS system is an area where I had a few problems. So I'm going to detail those for you guys, and you can make your own decisions and conclusions from it. Now, the THS is a bladder pocket that straps on the front. We've got 4 straps, 1 on each corner. Let's just unclip this and you'll see that it's quite a small pocket though. In fact, my CamelBak, my 3-liter CamelBak does not fit in this. I had to buy a smaller 2-liter one to make use of this when I was hiking. So that's the first problem. Let's just take this out for a second. Actually, no, one more thing to show you on this front. So I don't know if it should be called tripod and hydration. It should really be tripod or hydration. And this is something that I imagined as soon as they announced this pack, and if I'm honest, I was left scratching my head a little bit. So the tripod is supposed to be mounted on the front, and this goes between the legs of the tripod. You can probably see where I'm going with this, can't you? You can't really have a big water bladder trapped between the legs of your tripod, because this is supposed to go flat, which obviously it can't if you've got a couple of liters of water in there. And the other problem is that as you start drinking, this goes down, and then the straps aren't tight enough, so the more you drink, the looser everything gets, which is odd. Let's move on to just tripods, because there's not really much more I can say on that. That bit just doesn't work for me, I think. As a tripod carrying solution, as a water carrying solution, it works okay, but not for both. So let's take this out. Let's just look at carrying a tripod on the front. Now I will say that I've seen another review of this pack that said this was the best tripod carrying solution that he's used. So maybe this will polarize people, but I'm going to show you why it doesn't work for me, and you guys can make up your own minds on this one. So tripod goes like this, slide this through the middle. It has a nice reinforced section down the middle of it, which is a nice touch. Line this up, drop the front leg down. Let's do these straps up here. Now, I'm going to really start pulling these straps as tight as I can go. In fact, these bottom 2 straps are as short as they can possibly go. I'm buckle to buckle here. They cannot be any tighter than this. The problem is that the straps on the top here, you see they wrap around the bag and they are pulling downwards because they're attached at the back here. So there's some downward pressure from these straps on the top. The ones at the bottom though, they don't go around, they just attach to the sides there. So actually when you tighten these, it doesn't add any extra downward pressure. It's just pulling the tension is horizontal. It's just pulling the sides of the bag in closer towards the THS. It doesn't actually clamp the bottom of the tripod down. So the problem is, it's not secure. When you walk around, it's just not secure. There's no, this is as tight as this will go, and I can easily just slide my fingers in there between the tripod and the THS because the pressure is not in a downward direction with these bottom straps. And in fact, even with the top, it's not perfect either. You can still get, as you can see, some pretty serious movement going on at the top there. And the more you walk around and the more this jiggles about, as you can imagine, this just gets a little bit looser and looser. So a standard tripod cup system that we've seen on many outdoor packs before, which hangs down the middle and it secures two of the tripod's feet in the middle of the bag. For me, it just is a much better system. So as a tripod carrying solution, I really didn't get on with this. And as a hydration carrying solution, it does work, but like I said, I think that should be a functionality that's built into the bag. And for carrying tripod and hydration at the same time, that doesn't really work at all. But all is not lost. Let me take this off. You know, carrying the tripod and the water bladder out the back here is probably the worst place you could put it anyway, because you always want to keep heavy weights towards your spine. The closer you can get heavy weights to your spine, the better it's going to be for transferring that load down through your hips. And on a long day of hiking, that's going to be far more comfortable. So I was always a little bit worried about putting the tripod and the bladder out here anyway. These are two of the heaviest things that you're going to be carrying around if you've got a couple or 3 liters of water with you. So I always like to put my tripod on the side of the bag. We have some straps on the side there, and that's where I've been putting the tripod. So let's take a look at this. Essentially, you can just slide this through. And tighten these up, and that works fine. There's actually an elasticated pocket. You can put the feet of the tripod in there if you have a shorter tripod. This Really Right Stuff TVC 24L is quite tall, doesn't really work there in that pocket, but my travel tripod certainly did. So this works fine for carrying the tripod on the side. It does have one problem in that, let me take this off. This is something I've seen on a couple of other bags as well that bugs me a bit. These straps are captive on the end here. So they have buckles to loosen them, but they have no buckles to completely remove them like this. This doesn't, you know, these side ones don't come off like the ones from the THS. And the problem there is that I also like to carry light stands with me sometimes. I do outdoor sports, outdoor adventure photography stuff, and I use a lot of off-camera flash, so I have light stands with me. And light stands aren't like tripods where you can slide things in like this because the bottom of them is closed up. So with a light stand, you have to be able to take the strap and pass it through the leg to do it up. And I simply can't do that with this bag. So it's the same on the other side. You know, these straps are mirrored on both sides, but I can't put a light stand on this bag. So if you intend to do some off-camera flash photography, this is going to be problematic for you, as it has been for me a couple of times. You know, in the end, I just can't use this bag. If I want to take a light stand with me, I would have to choose something else. The other thing is that these straps, this is as wide as it will go. Now, my TVC 24L does fit. That's about as big a tripod as you would want to put in there, though, because it starts to become difficult to grab the last tiny bit of the strap and do it up. So you're not going to be able to carry a huge video tripod or something like that. This is a pretty big tripod, though. There's not many that are bigger than it, so that likely won't be an issue for you, but I just wanted to point that out, that there is some limit to the size of tripod that you can put in the side. Now, in terms of carrying hydration, you could use the THS for just carrying the hydration bladder. You know, personally, I think $40 extra to just carry the bladder is not money that I would want to spend. You have this great pocket on the front, which we've already seen in the first part of the video. And in fact, my 3-liter Camelback does actually fit in this front pocket, so that's great. The one problem is that it's not really designed for this, so there's no exit hole for the hose, but you can do the zippers, one from each side, have them meet in the middle at the top, and just leave a small gap for the hose to come out. So, you know, once this was in there, I didn't really find that it was a problem getting in the way of the other accessories that I put in there. That worked for me, so I preferred to keep it simple, tripod on the side, hydration bladder in the front pocket, and just leave the THS system out of it, I'm afraid. Okay guys, let's take a closer look at these modules. Now, I already talked about the benefits of a modular system earlier on in the video, so I won't go into too much detail here. They're fairly simple, but there's a couple of points that I want to talk about. The design is a one-piece design around here, and the foam is quite stiff, so this one piece of foam wraps all the way around. Now, the problem with this is that it's always fighting itself, trying to become circular, it's trying to expand. And in fact, if I unzip this bottom one and take the divider out, it almost does become circular with this small one. Actually, this is a small Pro and this is a medium Pro, incidentally. And I think this expanding problem contributes a little bit to this next issue, which is that the central divider on this small Pro is simply not wide enough to cross to the other side. It's an inch or more too short. I think you could probably see in the video, but there's photos in the review as well. You can pull it over and force it, but it just attaches by the very last millimeter of the hook and loop, and then it pulls the hook and loop off on the other side as well. I don't really know how this slipped through, but it's not a major thing. It doesn't really affect the way that you use it. It still gives you ample padding protection between lenses, and not everybody's going to run a central divider anyway. So for a lot of people, it's a non-issue. It wasn't an issue for me. It's just something I wanted to point out because I think it could have been done a little bit better. So in terms of materials, they're quite stiff, but the padding is just right, I think. The weight is just right. They're not too light. There's just the right amount of padding. It's going to give you good protection, even if you're sort of tossing your bag around. It's actually some of the better protection I've seen in these style of camera inserts. Now you can open them up on both sides, so you can access from the front or the back of the bag. The foam in these flaps is removable, and that means that you can then take this flap and you can actually fold it under the bag like this. That means when you open the back panel of the pack, you have direct access to your gear. I know that some people don't like to open the back panel of the pack and then also have to open this flap as well. So you can take the foam out, roll that up underneath the module. In terms of sizing, you can get a 300 2/8 in here. You can't get a 200 to 400. It's more designed for something like a 100 to 400 or a 70 to 200 in the middle here with your camera body, a couple primes, and a couple of zooms like your wide zoom and your standard zoom. You lose a little bit of volume in the corners due to the one-piece wall design as well. It's very, very rounded, like I said, but in reality, I didn't find that to be a big issue, but overall, I think I would have preferred to have seen some more defined corners with a bit of stitching or a bit of scoring in there to prevent this expansion, because I think it also contributes a little bit to the difficulties I had getting both modules in the pack at the same time. But yeah, not bad. I mean, they're fairly camera modules are fairly simple things, and these are done adequately. One other thing actually is that one side of the foam, you can see it's quite black in here, and as outdoor photographers we're often out in the dark at sunrise and after sunset, so I'm forever rummaging around in my bag trying to find something. I much prefer to see this kind of color all over the interior of the bag, not just on the lid. There's a lot of black in here. It's a bit too dark, but maybe that's something they can fix in the future. So okay, let's move on and we'll take a look at these bags compared with one of the other Gura gear bags that I have. Right, another thing we can take a look at is comparing the Uinta 30 litre with this other bag from Gura gear, the Butterfly 26 litre. In terms of volume, they're quite similar, so I'm sure there's going to be a few people out there who are weighing up their options and considering both of these bags, trying to figure out which one is best for their type of photography or their equipment. So let's take a quick look around these. Firstly, as you can see, the Uinta is quite a bit taller than the Butterfly, but if you rotate them around to the side, you'll notice it's quite a bit thinner, so it keeps the volume closer to your back, and that makes it easier to transfer the load down through your hips, and it's much more comfortable for hiking with. Now, the Butterfly bags are really designed for travel, particularly with long lenses, and some of the features that make it a great bag for that aren't necessarily conducive to a comfortable pack for hiking with. So personally, I did not find the Butterfly bag a very comfortable bag to carry on my back. I think that's feedback that a lot of people gave them, and in part that's led to the design of the Uinta. There's a couple of areas where the Butterfly excels though, and that is, as I said, carrying long lenses. So it has this unique butterfly opening design, which allows you very quick access to long lenses. This is a Canon 200 to 400, and very quick stowage again. So if you're in a safari vehicle, a kind of safari situation where you're putting your long lenses away all the time and getting them out very quickly, then this bag is perfect for that. And the boxy design to it is there to help you travel with the most amount of gear that will fit within carry-on regulations. So, you know, it has some great features, and I think if you're traveling with long lenses, then this is definitely an excellent option, as long as you don't need to hike around with it too much once you get to your location. So Safari is the ultimate use for this bag. Now the Uinta, on the other hand, is a much more comfortable bag to carry on your back for landscape photography missions where you're out for several hours hiking around. So it has a much nicer harness that has a lot of very breathable materials, and as we talked about earlier in the video, this back panel, which I really like as well. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of an indication. Just, it's nice to visually see things next to each other sometimes. In the review, there is a ton of photos of these side by side, and I discuss this in a little bit more detail. So if this is a consideration, one versus the other, then head to the link below if you're watching this on YouTube, and you can find some more details in the main review there. Okay guys, I hope you found this review of the Gura Gear Uinta pack useful. Please subscribe to the channel. We have plenty more of this stuff coming in the future, and there's a ton of great videos on there already. If you're watching on YouTube, head to the description below. You'll find a link to the online review, which is on shuttermuse.com, and there's a ton of photos in that review, plus comparisons to other backpacks that I've tried out that are in the adventure outdoor photography market. So like I said, I hope you found this useful, and we'll see you next time.